Picture this. You wake up, you reach for your phone and see XRP sitting at a cool $10. Your eyes pop wider than a double shot espresso. Because that tiny bag of tokens that you squirreled away while everyone else was doom scrolling just became an oversized piñata of potential profits. But here is the kicker. Most people still think that $10 is a pipe dream, so why do I think it's closer than the third snooze button slapped on a Monday morning? Let me tell you a story. Now, before you sprint down this rabbit hole with me, buckle up for something that YouTube wants me to whisper in your ear. Actually, I'll shout it because the rules are the rules. Now it might shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. Now this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Boom, that's a disclaimer delivered, obligations fulfilled, and now let's have some fun. So last night, I'm on my balcony here in Dubai, wind kind of whispering off the Gulf, and full moon kind of looking like a silver coin dangling over the skyline. Now, I'm kind of scrolling through the XRP rich list stats because that's where certified crypto nerds do, at least what they do, instead of, Netflix and chill. Now suddenly I spot a number that gets my brain sizzling. 2,480. Now that's the magic ticket, or the bare minimum ticket really, to crack into the top 10% club of XRP holders worldwide. So let's think of that like getting past the velvet rope to a VIP lounge, except the bouncer is math and your cover charge is roughly $5.5 at today's price of around $2.20 a coin. But let's just pause right here. That's $5,454 or $56 to be exact. That's roughly the cost of a second-hand Vespa, a mid-tier MacBook Pro, or 33 brunches in the city if you kind of have your eggs Benedict with gold flakes on top. But here's the plot twist, right? Park that same cash in XRP or 2,480 XRP, wait for the market to do its dance, and if we eventually kind of tap $10, you'd be looking at $24,800. That's not yacht money, sure, but it's kind of a leap that kind of turns side hustles into down payments. And if you're one of the whales in the top 10% pool, rocking 8,770 tokens, you can slide a decimal and the moon shot kind of morphs into $87,700 hypothetically. That's a Tesla Model Y with kind of enough change for kind of premium paint, if you will. Now, you might be thinking, why am I so jazzed about $10? And well, it's because every market cycle has that one awkward dinner party moment where Bitcoin kind of steals the spotlight and the altcoins just stare at their shoes, right? We just lived through it, right? Bitcoin kind of sprinted to a fresh all-time high while XRP politely held the door. Bitcoin dominance has soared past 55%, which, for my chart-loving friends, is kind of like the DJ cranking out a single track on loop all night long. But dominance cycles are like seasons, they change. And analyst DK64 Trades and Crypto R Us, their very own George Tung, even my kind of barista, who kind of swears by Fibonacci spirals in latte form, they all say that the podium's about to swing, right? And when Bitcoin dominance finally does indeed drop, liquidity trickles, then gushes into altcoins, so you can cue our green candle confetti. Hypothetically, of course. So let me rewind to 2017 for a second here, because I was that guy buying XRP at fractions of a dollar while my college buddies were chasing ICOs named after obscure vegetables. Now, I joined forums, I lurked in Telegram trenches, and yes, launched our free educational Discord server, and you'll find that link in the description down below. You can pop in. The vibe is 90% nerdy enthusiasm, 10% badly timed gifts, and 0% paid shills. But back then, XRP, it kind of went from dirt cheap to over $3 almost overnight, and my phone buzzed like an angry nest of wasps. Friends begging to know my secret strategy, and the truth was quite simple. I just stacked a small amount, I ignored all the noise, and I let market mechanics work their magic. You can flash forward, and history rhymes harder than a rap battle. Once dominance tips, altcoins sprint. But numbers alone, they don't tell the whole tale, right? We need some context here, because you've got to imagine a bit of a seesaw. On one end is Bitcoin, and the other end are thousands, if not millions of altcoins. When Bitcoin kind of gains weight, well, fresh ETF, inflow, sovereign wealth, headlines, it kind of ends thuds, at least the end kind of thuds down, right? And altcoins, they dangle in the air like confused kids. But eventually, profit taking shifts, pounds to the other side. Now, that's kind of what analysts mean by an altcoin season, right? And it kind of plays out roughly every cycle, at least supposedly. I differ on this opinion a little bit, and you can check that out in the Discord. Right now, of course, we're approaching the kind of cusp here, right? And Glassnode on-chain data and reports shows that dormant BTC wallets are stirring. Now, historically, a pre-altcoin season kind of tremor, if you will. And meanwhile, of course, XRP's network activity, that's daily active addresses, has been kind of pacing upwards even as price kind of cooled off, which in crypto is kind of like seeing smoke before a fire. But here is my favorite part, and it's the psychology, right? XRP's community has weathered more storms than a lighthouse. SEC lawsuits, delistings, name calling, you name it. Yet wallets, they keep multiplying. So picture a beehive, after rain then, right? It's quiet on the outside, but inside workers are tirelessly building honeycombs. Now that persistence kind of forms a base of hands that won't flinch at the first sign of a green candle. When $10 flashes, and I predict fewer folks will actually dump then than the kind of cynics actually think. It's because many of us have mentally moved the kind of goalposts to $22 or $30 or maybe even $50. And yet still 10 is the next big milestone, right? And math says hitting it from today's price of $2.20 takes only 354% pump. Is that crazy? Well, Ethereum once 50x'd in a single cycle, Solana 200x'd coming out of last bear market. So, we're talking 3.5x. That's a jog, not a marathon then. And even so, you just need a thesis, not hopium. And mine kind of goes a little bit like this. First, legal clarity. If Ripple nails more courtroom wins or a settlement strips away regulatory fog, exchanges worldwide could fling their doors open to US liquidity once again. Second, utility demand, right? Ripple's ODL corridors now snake through more countries than my passport stamps. And central bank pilots programs, they keep quietly testing XRP for cross-border liquidity. Third, you've got sheer scarcity at scale. Only 100 billion XRP exist, and nearly half of that sits in an escrow. At $10, the market cap leapfrogs into the same kind of zip code as many banks, but still below the level that kind of spooks regulators compared to BTC or even Ethereum. Now, if you add those dominoes, then tap them with a kind of dominance rotation, and you've got the makings of an explosive rally. Now, let's address the elephant tap dancing in the comments section. But Nick, what if it all tanks instead? We're doomed. breathe, right? Because any asset that can drop 80% faster than a rock in a gravity demo, and that's kind of why my plan is not YOLO, YOLO, right? It's kind of phased, right? I ladder my buys when fear bleeds into the charts, and I scale out as euphoria kind of dawns. And guess what? You can automate that entirely on the Blofin crypto exchange. It's the same shameless plug, I know, but bear with me here, because with my affiliate link down below, and yes, using that link supports the channel, keeps the lights on, and lets me afford this kind of dangerously high caffeinated habit that I have of these videos. Plus, their grid bots are as easy as ordering shawarma at 2 a.m. Now, side note, speaking of shawarma, let me dish up a spicy analogy here, because buying XRP today is a bit like ordering, extra garlic sauce. Now, you may reek in the kind of short run, but when the kind of party starts, everyone suddenly wants a bite. Now, the distance, or the difference I should say, is that you can only redistribute so much shawarma, right? Now, XRP's supply is locked. When demand spikes, scarcity hits like a cement truck, right? Remember, 2021? Exchange order books when paper thin and price vaulted pennies in hours. Right? $10, it might feel rather distant, yet in a single catalyst, could actually be the trigger. Now, I know skeptics will shrug. Rich list stats don't move the price, and it's true, it doesn't. But they do highlight the distribution, and distribution tells a social story. So for example, the rich list kind of threshold has fallen from 2,501 coins in February to 2,480 coins right now. Now that suggests that new entrants are actually nibbling lower than the whales are selling. Smaller holders accumulating, think worker bees once again, and when the queen actually declares alt season, those bees or these bees will actually become the market makers, refusing to dump at these, well, cheap levels. So let me share a personal gut punch then, because back in 2013, I sold half of my Bitcoin at $600 to buy, wait for it, a gaming PC and some pizza. And it's a true story, honestly, guys, right? And 2 years later, that rig was absolutely obsolete, right? The pizza was, well, pizza, and Bitcoin has climbed above 2 grand, right? Lessons be learned here, right? It's actually climbed well above 100 grand, I should say. And the lesson's quite clear, right? Calculate opportunity cost, not just dollar cost, right? Today, 2,480 XRP could morph into 24,800 bucks at $10, right? But if history rhymes and we overshoot the two kind of previously inflated adjusted highs, well, maybe that's 30, 40, 50. Nobody really knows. But if you cash out for a short-term kind of dopamine, hit like another latte machine, for example, your future you might actually want to time travel back and smack present you with a ledger so hard that it wakes you up. So does any of this guarantee gains? Absolutely not. No. Right? Rabbit holes, of course, they can lead to buried treasure or to empty kind of caves full of bats, right? And that's why community matters. Jump into the free Discord. There's a link parked in the description down below, and swap battle scars with people who understand FUD, right? That's the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt. And of course, the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and how it's not just Pokemon evolutions, right? They're emotional roller coasters, best ridden with seatbelts of facts. Okay, so narrative climax time. Imagine it's year end. Fireworks kind of crackle over the Burj Khalifa, and your Coinbase kind of ticker flips, from $2.20 to $10.05. Your notifications blow up like confetti cannons. Every cousin who ignored crypto is suddenly your new best friend forever. And you, my friend, you're cool as a fridge in Antarctica because you saw the Seesaw shift months earlier. Now, you did the research, you listened to the disclaimers, you used bots, you kept a level head, and maybe, just maybe, you're in that top 10% club, looking at 5-figure numbers that once felt like science fiction. And so the takeaway here, Markets reward patience, preparation, and participation, right? Crypto more so, because cycles move like storm fronts. They're slow, then sudden. So if you've got the risk appetite, right, setting aside $5,456 for that entry level, you know, 2,480 XRP, it isn't necessarily gambling. It's actually potentially strategic and strategic positioning. So treat it like planting a mango tree, right? Nurture it. Ignore the neighbor who says fruit is overrated, and someday shade, you know, mind sweetness actually arrives. And hey, if you're still unsure, there's nothing wrong with watching from the sidelines, right? Grab popcorn, join the Discord, ask questions, run numbers on Blofin testnet. Education first, execution second, right? Because as I say, every single holiday dinner with Uncle Bob, and when he asks for one hot tip, the hottest tip is knowing why you're investing in the first place, not what to actually invest in. Okay, so I've rambled longer than a midnight taxi ride down Sheikh Zayed Road. So here's a quick fire recap. A $10 XRP equals 354% rocket from here. Top 10% holders, they start at around 2,480 tokens. Dominance is the seesaw to watch, and legal clarity plus utility demand can be at least be the lighter beneath the kind of booster, right? You should study, you should plan, and you should consider whether this asymmetry kind of fits your own risk tolerance. And if you're ready to automate that strategy, hit Blofin with my affiliate link in the description down below, right? The fees are trimmed, bots are primed, channel is supported, right? And if you just want to kind of commemorate, and maybe have some cat memes, smash that Discord link instead, right? Either way, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep your expectations realistic yet optimistic. And nothing in this video, of course, is A, financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And B, it is all hypothetical. These are all what ifs and coulds and maybes and possiblies and potentials, and they're all just hypotheticals. If you found it useful and informative in any way, smash a like button, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one.